Well, welcome to Youth Night Live. My name is Josh, and I will be your host tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are coming to you tonight live from our church studio 104. We're going to have a great time tonight. And you know what? We're going to jump right into something fun called Would You Rather Extreme Edition. I don't know how extreme these are, but that's what it says. So these are really simple. Going to give you two different options, and you just have to choose which one you would rather. I know you played this. We played this before here on Youth Night. I want to introduce you to a few people tonight. But the first person I want to introduce to you is my good friend and colleague, employee Nick. He is here live with us in the studio tonight, giving everybody the Barbie can only move 2 inches wave. So Nick, thanks for joining us tonight. How you feeling, man? Feeling good?
You know, I'm feeling spirit-led right now.
Yeah.
I'm not going to look at you, though, because then it doesn't look like I'm looking at them. And you guys are what I really care about. That's the reason why I'm here.
Oh, so I have screens. I can see Nick all the time. He can't see me. I really love it. So, all right, let's jump into Would You Rather. Here is the first one. Would you rather, number one, have no elbows? Your arms are just rods or sticks. They can never bend. You have no elbows. Or number two, have no knees. Your legs are just completely straight all the time. Let us know in the chat. No elbows or no knees if you had to. I'm gonna say for this one, I definitely would rather go no elbows. I think that, I could make life work, but having no knees, like sitting and lying down. Nick, what do you think, man, about no elbows or no knees?
I think it's just a depressing question because right now all I'm thinking about is basketball. But
Ooh.
I guess if I had to choose, I would go with no elbows because then at least I could probably dunk. If I can extend my legs, I can jump and get up there and just bang out on him. So that's my answer.
Yeah, it'd be like a really intense windmill with no. All right, here is the next Would You Rather. Put up on the screen. Would you rather, number one, have fingers that shoot spaghetti? I'm going to add uncontrollably. Like not all the time, but you cannot control. Just several times throughout the day, randomly, your fingers just shoot spaghetti. But it is delicious spaghetti, and you do get to eat it. But it's just randomly throughout the day, fingers that shoot out spaghetti. That's number one. Number two is you have feet that turn into skates. Now, this is on demand, but they're really low quality, like Bi-Mart skates. But they are on demand. You can turn your feet into skates and then your skates back into feet when you want. They work, but just not that great. So, would you rather have fingers that shoot spaghetti randomly or have feet that turn into skates on demand? I know this is a extremely specific would you rather, but let us know spaghettis or skates in the comment section. For this one's super easy for me. I was never that great at roller skating, but I am a carboholic. I love pasta, so for sure, I would take the spaghetti fingers. Whenever it shot out of my fingers, I would just put it in a little plate, keep some marinara, keep some Alfredo, maybe some pesto, and I would be good to go. Never have to cook again. So, Nick, what do you say for this one?
For this one, it's definitely number two because that's basically just having feet that you can choose whether or not they're bad feet or not. And for me, I would probably just keep my feet normal all the time and also keep my weight down by not shooting spaghetti out of my hands because that would be too much of a temptation for me.
It would be. Well, like Spider-Man said, with great power comes great responsibility. So moving on to our third and final Would You Rather for the night. Here it is. This one is tough. Neither of these are pleasant, but number one, have tarantulas that live in your house. Now, it says S, so that's plural, tarantulas. I don't know how many. Maybe it's 2, maybe it's 6, maybe it's 16. But there are more than one tarantulas that are living in your house that could be anywhere at any time. Or number 2, would you rather have clowns for neighbors? Now, I'm gonna say these are nice clowns. They're not like killer clowns, but they're still your neighbors who are perpetually in clown garb. And I usually answer first, but Nick, I'm gonna throw this one first to you. Tarantulas live in your house or clowns as neighbors?
I mean, I'd probably go with tarantulas because I'm pretty sure I have spiders up in my house already, but also because tarantulas are known for killing pests. So if, let's say, one of the students from youth group tried to show up at my house, you're getting eaten by a tarantula, I'm sorry.
I didn't think of it as like a free home security system, but that is an interesting perk. I hate spiders more than possibly anything else on earth, so that sounds like my worst nightmare. And like I don't love clowns, but like, you know, they're your neighbors. You don't see them like all the time, so I would definitely pick clowns for neighbors. One last time, let us know in the comment section which one you would rather. Thank you so much for playing. There will be several other times tonight that you can chat along with us. I encourage you to keep that chat box pulled up and to engage with us tonight. All right, well, hey, it is time to officially get started with Youth Night Live. Roll the intro. Well, welcome to Youth Night. My name is Josh, and we are live here at the church, Studio 104. Man, I'm so glad to be joining you live tonight. We are starting a brand new series. We have an awesome game. Later, we'll be heading into small groups together. But tonight, to get things started, you know what time it is. It is time for the announcements! What? It is time for the announcements! What? I don't know if you can hear intern Nick just like screaming that from across the room, but employee Nick, I'm sorry, employee Nicholas. So, all right, these are your announcements, your need to know info. You are watching something called Youth Night. We are here Sundays at 7 p.m. on the Annex GCF YouTube channel. Speaking of which, make sure that you subscribe to our channel so that you can stay up to date with all of the great content that we are putting out over the airwaves. Besides YouTube, we are on Instagram, so make sure you pop over there and follow us at GCF Annex. So we are here on YouTube Sundays at 7 p.m. every week except for the last Sunday of the month, because the last Sunday of the month we do something special called One Night. One Night is a in-person youth gathering right here at church, Grace Community Fellowship, from 6:15 to 8:45. Every month, we switch things up. We have different theme, different activities. We have different giveaways and food. This month, March 28th, the last Sunday of March, we are having a one night called Very Much Alive. This is our Easter celebration, and we're going to kick off our brand new Easter series called Very Much Alive. We're going to be having some awesome Easter-related fun, such as Easter basket giveaways. We're going to do some great things with the outside, nice weather, as well as celebrate Easter in person together. So hope that you would mark your calendars or just put that in your head the last Sunday of the month, March 28th, to join us here at Grace as middle school or high school students, whether you come regularly or you're still new. Friends, everyone is always invited. This is a totally free event that we would love to have you join us for. All right, so looking forward to the summer for all of my high school students, there's something that you for sure do not want to miss. Set your calendars for Hume Lake Summer Camp 2021, July 10th through the 17th. If you have not heard of Hume Lake before, don't worry, we'll tell you all about it. If you this summer have graduated 8th grade or through being a graduated senior, Hume Lake is an incredible week of camp, of games, activities, messages, cabin time down in the beautiful California Sierra Nevadas. So, a couple of things. We will be talking more and more about Hume Lake as we get closer to the summer, but a couple of things I just want you to know is, one, make sure that you know the date, July 10th through the 17th, and also that signups will open on Easter Sunday, which is the first Sunday of April. So you still have a couple of weeks before you can sign up, but we have a limited number of spots, and every year camp does sell out. So you are going to want to make sure that you sign up very soon if you want to secure your spot for camp. Now, I know that everyone has questions about summer camp this year in regards to COVID. What's camp going to look like? Is camp really going to happen? What do I need to know? Those are great questions, and we will definitely make sure that we communicate clearly all of those things. But a couple of things I just want to highlight tonight is that, one, as of today, Hume Lake has said that they are holding camp, and the annex has reserved spots. Now, I wish I could 100% guarantee that camp would happen no matter what, but that's not the case. But we will make sure that you are up to date about what's happening with camp if you check our website or if you subscribe to our YouTube page. So get excited for Hume Lake Summer Camp if you're heading into high school next year. And at this month's one night, we are going to release the theme videos and information for camp this summer. All right. Well, those are all of your announcements. What? For tonight. We are going to head into a awesome game with intern Jacob. Let's head on over there.
Everyone, my name is intern Jacob, and this is my friend Owen. Say hi, Owen.
Hi.
We're glad you're here. Thanks for tuning in. We are going to play a really cool game that you guys can interact with as well in the chat. It's pretty similar to the first game, but it's like a true or false questions that have to do with St. Patrick's Day. But then the theme also has to do with our message of like doubt it. So if he gets, I'm going to ask Owen the questions. You can also respond in the comments as well. If he gets the question right, he gets a piece of candy from that cup right there. But if he gets it wrong, he has to take one of these eggs and smash it on his head. Half of them, so 5 of them, are boiled, and the other 5 are raw. I broke 2 of them while boiling them, so that's why there's only 10. So let's get started, and we'll see how many you get correct. So first question is, in Louisville, Kentucky, they dyed the Ohio River green every day for St. Patrick's Day. Do you think that is true or false?
Doubt it.
Doubt it? You are correct. You get a piece of candy. Actually, so in Chicago, they dye the river green every year. So, you can go ahead and grab a piece of candy. Next question. Was St. Patrick British?
True.
You are also correct. Patrick wasn't Irish. He was actually born Roman parents in Scotland. So, 2 for 2. Next question is, St. Patrick used a 3-leaf clover as a metaphor for the Holy Trinity when he introduced Christianity to Ireland. Do you think that is fact, or do you doubt it?
I doubt it.
It's actually true. So go ahead and take an egg. First egg you touch, you take, smash it on your head, and you see if it is boiled or raw.
That one was wrong.
That was good. That was good. Well, good job, good job. Moving on. Female leprechauns are taller and more fierce than male leprechauns. Do you think that is true or false?
I doubt it.
You are correct. There's actually no such thing as a female leprechaun. I don't quite know how that works, but there are none. So good job, good job. Next question is, there's actually no corn in corned beef.
Doubt it.
It's actually true.
Is it?
There's no corn in corned beef. I don't think I've had corned beef before, but I think it's literally just like beef prepared in a certain way. So go ahead and take another egg, smash it on your head, and see what happens.
That one was hard boiled.
Look at you. Saved by the egg. Next question is, St. Patrick's Day parade started in Germany. Do you think that is true or false?
Doubt it.
Doubt it. You are correct. St. Patrick's Day started in the United States. I did not know that. I actually knew none of these. So, next question is, St. Patrick's name is actually not Patrick. Do you think that is true or false?
True.
You are correct. His birth name was actually Mawin Sakat. So, the more you know. He later changed his name to Patrick when he became a priest. We got a few more questions. Keep commenting down below what you think the answers are. The shamrock is not the symbol of Ireland. Do you think that is true or false? It is not the symbol of Ireland.
True.
That is true. The official symbol of Ireland is a harp. Dang, you got 2 wrong, and I don't know how many questions you've been through, but you're on a roll. You got most of these right. Next question is, St. Patrick is famous for driving all the wolves out of Ireland. Do you think that is true or false?
Doubt it.
You are correct. There's a legend that says he drove all the snakes out from Ireland. So, dang, you are on a roll. We have one more question left, which means you've gotten, 7 correct and 2 wrong. So let's see what this final one will be. St. Patrick and St. Valentine went to the same Bible college together. Do you think that is true or false?
Doubt it.
You are correct. They were born hundreds of years apart. Well, you get, you know what, you can just have the whole cup of candy because you got almost all those questions correct. So, good job. Thanks for playing, everyone. Yeah, you guys have a great rest of your night. And we're sending it over to Josh.
All right. Hey, that was great. Owen, congratulations. I mean, I did want to see you get egged a few more times, but you really aced that St. Patrick's Day trivia with a little 10 days early. But maybe you guys can impress like your friends or family members like Owen if you know absolutely everything there is to know about St. Patrick's Day. All right, well, we are headed now into our message. And there's a couple of great things happening tonight. One, we are starting a brand new series called No Way: Doubts, Questions, and Faith Along the Way. Here's the thing. At church, we often talk about what we believe or what we should believe, but we don't often talk about the things that we doubt or that we struggle to believe. Have you ever doubted if there was a God, or if you could prove that there was a God, or that everything in the Bible was true, or on and on and on? Now, I wish I could say we will answer every single one of those questions tonight. We won't. But here is one of the things that we do want to talk about: doubt. You see, even people who love Jesus and follow him closely have questions about the things that they believe, even doubts about their faith. And that isn't strange or abnormal. It's actually very normal. And in fact, as we will see in these next 2 weeks, doubt can be something that actually grows our faith. And I am excited to not only talk about this here on Youth Night in the message, but also to have some great, honest, small group conversations afterwards as well. Tonight, you already know we have a very special, not really guest, but we'll call him a guest, Nick, here in the studio. He is going to be giving our first message in the No Way series. Nick, take it away.
Thank you, Josh. So thank you everyone for being here. I feel like this is a great privilege to be able to speak tonight about the subject of doubt. And what I'm going to be bringing for you tonight is specifically about how doubt can lead to greater faith. So remember that as we move forward through this. And as Josh said, there's a lot of important questions that can be addressed within this. My sermon tonight isn't going to be addressing individual questions, but instead I'm going to be doing kind of a blanket of how do we approach doubt and what does that look like in relationship to my faith? How do I approach it? So first off, before we even get to doubt, I want to talk about something that's sort of related to it in an earlier stage, and that's struggling. Now, struggling is just a natural part of life with anything you do. If you're getting better at something, you're learning something for the first time, you're going to be struggling at some point along the way. So for me, two things that I struggled with and I'm still struggling with to some extent, I'm going to give you right now. So the first one is struggling to learn how to make music. So I was really excited my freshman year of college. I had a friend give me some music software, so I downloaded it on my computer. I bought a little keyboard to plug into it. So I was all set up, all professional, ready to go, and I could not get a sound out of it. And I was so confused. I was sitting there all by myself in a room that I had called my studio, and I was just trying to pluck away and look through the settings, and I spent 5 hours trying to figure out how to get a sound out of it before I learned that what I had to do in the software was put a sound from the software onto the track that was linked to my piano so it could play something, which seems really simple, but really aggravating since I had no idea what I was doing. And that was just one struggle that I had to go through. And now that I know how to make music, it's still a struggle to do everything right and know what I'm doing all the time. And the second thing that I struggled with and I'm still struggling with is learning how to not be selfish. And when I'm talking about that, I'm specifically speaking about now that I'm married, I have had to learn quickly and effectively how to not be selfish. Because when I was single, oh my gosh, I was so good at being selfish, you guys. I was probably on the all-star team of people who were selfish. I didn't have to share. I would tell people no. People would say, hey, do you want to come do this with us? I'd be like, I'm good. I'm going to do my own thing. So I was really good at it then. Even dating, when I was dating Brooklyn leading up to marriage, there would be times where I'd be hanging out with her and thinking about, in an hour from now when I get home, I'm gonna play some video games. I'm so excited. It's gonna be great for me. And I was just always thinking about myself. And as soon as I got married, now I have to learn how to walk into the apartment, and I go instead to my desk, I go to the kitchen, I look if there's dishes to be done, I look if there's something that needs to be cleaned, I look if I have something I can help Brooklyn with that will just take some stress and pressure off of her, and it's just completely different. And so that's something that I'm still struggling with, so be praying for me as I'm learning how to not be selfish, and it's a new life. It's a new thing for me. So even with the things that we love the most in our life or that might seem native to us, there are things that are hard to grasp. There are difficulties in each thing, and we will end up having doubt or struggles along the way. And the same thing applies to our faith. Now, even though being a Christian in America is pretty easy, I mean, we're not really persecuted, we're not seen as religious extremists. We have the freedom of speech, the freedom of religion, and being a Christian is pretty easy. You just show up to church and you go through your checklist of things not to do. So I don't do drugs, I don't swear, I don't party, I don't drink. All of those things, you can pretty easily be labeled as a Christian or say that you lead a Christian life if you just do that and then not do those things. But even though it seems pretty simplistic, it seems pretty easy to do, there are still things that are hard to approach, things that we grapple with when it comes to our faith. And those are questions that are serious, such as, how do I know that God is real? How do I know that Jesus was resurrected and that he was the Messiah? Or how do I know that God doesn't hate my LGBTQ friends? How do I know that I am approaching them in a way that honors him? And all of those are difficult questions. Those are things that on a personal level, each of us needs to figure out or struggle with. And I'm not going to answer those tonight, but I want to give you an approach and direction as far as the struggles and doubts and questions that you are facing in your faith. And in that same vein, I remember a few years ago, one of my friends asked me, hey, what's your testimony and how has God shown up for you and how do you know that God has been a part of your life? And that was kind of a difficult question for me because I was raised in the church, my parents were Christian, so I kind of always had that faith background. I never really had to come to Jesus. It was more so just doing what I needed to do to be considered Christian. And in the last few years, I've been able to take ownership of my faith, but it was a pretty easy thing early on. And so I don't have this great coming to Jesus story where I had to overcome these obstacles or start from the bottom, from rock bottom, and then have a miraculous moment where he came into my life. So when I was approaching that question, I had to think very specifically to myself. And I came up with two main things that prove to me and show me that God is in my life. And the first one is something I like to call nudges, which the best example I can give you is, let's say I'm walking down the street. I have my backpack on, I've got my lunch in it for the day, on my way to work, and I'm just walking down the street and I see a homeless person. Now, the thought that might come to my mind is, whatever, just keep walking, but then I'll feel a nudge or a prompt that says, hey, you see that homeless person? Why don't you go up and give him your lunch? And to myself, being the selfish person I am, I think, no, I'm good. I don't really want to. But that's how I know that that urge is from God and it's not for me, because if it's for me, it would be selfish. It would be, man, keep your lunch. You made that. That's yours. Just go about your day. It doesn't matter. You can just move on. So in that moment, I'm presented with an opportunity either to follow that urge and go through with it and do something courageous or out of my comfort zone, or to just move on and completely ignore it. And I'm ashamed to say that most of the time, I choose to ignore it and I go the other direction. But the reason why I know that that is from God and not from myself is because it's not my selfishness speaking in that moment. It's something greater than me asking me to do something. And I have that free choice to follow through or not. So nudges are the first way that I personally have experienced God in my life. And the second way is just in the beauty of the world around us and just the way that nature is so wonderfully created. I mean, if you look at a waterfall, if you've watched a river flowing, if you've seen the northern lights or a picture of the aurora borealis, you just have to feel a sense of awe and wonder when you're looking at those things. And even scientists can't fully explain all of the wonders of nature that are around us or everything that happens in the world. And that has to lead you to think, well, something greater than science was the reason behind all of this. So I see God when I look at a tree, when I look at individual parts of a pine needle and all of the intricacies that are there. And I can see God in people and how wonderfully and fearfully created we each are. I mean, as silly as the example of having no elbows is, think about it. We have elbows. How strange and amazing is that? That without something as small as that, we would be completely limited to this range of motion. And that just shows me in my life that I see God in those things and that they reflect Him. So those are the ways that I approach responding to that. But those are also things that I doubted myself before I was able to figure out my own answers to that specific difficult question. And maybe that's something that you've faced before, that you've asked yourself, or that friends have asked you. And I encourage you to just think about how you see God in your life. And you don't have to have this amazing testimony. You don't have to be the person who overcame all of these struggles. Every person's story is valuable. Every testimony is valuable. So just know that you are not less worthy because you haven't gone through as much, that God has still shown up in your life and He's still there with you and for you. Following Jesus doesn't mean that you have to have all the answers to every question that is out there. It actually means that you're probably going to have more questions and you're going to doubt more than other people would. And that's exactly where God wants you to be. Now, to tackle all of this tonight, I know I've said a lot, but we're just going to go straight to Scripture and then analyze it. So tonight we're going to be reading Mark chapter 9, verses 14 through 29. And I'll be reading in the English Standard Version if you want to follow along. And to give a little bit of context before I hop in, there's going to be some pronouns him and they. And specifically, him is going to be talking about Jesus, and they is going to be talking about the disciples. And I can explain it further after we get through. And when they came to the disciples, they saw a great crowd around them, and scribes arguing with them. And immediately all the crowd, when they saw him, were greatly amazed, and ran up to him and greeted him. And he asked them, "What are you arguing about with them?" And someone from the crowd answered him, "Teacher, I have brought my son to you, for he has a spirit that makes him mute. And whenever it seizes him, it throws him down, and he foams and grinds his teeth and becomes rigid. So I asked your disciples to cast it out, and they were not able." And he answered them, "O faithless generation, how long am I to be with you? How long am I to bear with you? Bring him to me." And they brought the boy to him. And when the spirit saw him, immediately it convulsed the boy, and he fell on the ground and rolled about, foaming at the mouth. And Jesus asked his father, "How long has this been happening to him?" And he said, "From childhood. And it has often cast him into fire and into water to destroy him. But if you can do anything, have compassion on us and help us." And Jesus said to him, "If you can, all things are possible for one who believes." Immediately the father of the child cried out and said, "I believe, help my unbelief." And when Jesus saw that a crowd came running together, he rebuked the unclean spirit, saying to it, "You mute and deaf spirit, I command you, come out of him and never enter him again." And after crying out and convulsing him terribly, it came out, and the boy was like a corpse, so that most of them said, "He is dead." But Jesus took him by the hand and lifted him up, and he arose. And when he had entered the house, his disciples asked him privately, "Why could we not cast it out?" And he said to them, "This kind cannot be driven out by anything but prayer." Now, for those of you who maybe tuned out during me reading that, or you just weren't following completely, I'm just going to break it down so it's a little bit easier. So first of all, what happens is Jesus arrives at a town. His disciples have been there. They've been trying to cast a demon out of this boy who is demon possessed, and they're unable to. The father comes forward. He says, Jesus, if you can, just please help. I need your help. And Jesus responds and he says, if I can, oh no, I will. And in that moment, he doesn't take the time to rebuke the father, to call him out for not having faith or belief. He takes that opportunity and he goes the extra yard and he casts the demon out of the boy, and it is amazing. But in that moment, we see that even though the father had doubt, his faith was still acknowledged. That didn't stop Jesus from doing anything. It gave him the opportunity to go beyond what was expected, to do something that proved that the Father should have faith in him. And God does that again and again in the Bible, and Jesus does it over and over. For people who doubt, he doesn't say, you're not worthy, I'm leaving. He says, I'm here, I am God, and I will prove it. And he follows up every single time he comes through. And he'll do the same for you in your life. But that's not the only instance of this happening in the Bible. Another one that comes to my mind is when Moses is having a conversation with God through the burning bush. Now, before Moses became famous, before he did anything incredible like parting the Red Sea or making water come out of a stone or leading the Israelites out of Egypt, God came to him in the burning bush and confronted him. And he said, hey, Moses, I am choosing you to be the one to lead my people out of slavery and out of Egypt. And Moses, instead of taking that moment and saying, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Thank you so much. I'm ready. Let's do it. What do you need me for? You know what Moses did instead? He said, okay, but I kind of this, and I don't know if I'm fully capable of that, and can't you just find someone else? And that made God angry. This is one of the few times where we see God actually getting angry at someone that he is proud of, that he loves. But God doesn't just abandon Moses because he's angry and he's frustrated and because Moses is unable to see the bigger picture. Instead, he says, okay, I understand you're having a hard time. I'm going to send you with someone, and I'm going to work through both of you, and I'm going to do amazing things. So doubt doesn't prevent God from coming through. Doubt doesn't stop him from choosing people. Because after all, God doesn't call those that are equipped. He equips those that he calls. So right now, if you feel like you're not capable of something, if you don't feel like you can share the gospel with your friends because you don't know how to answer this, and this question, that's okay. God's going to use you. If you don't feel like you can mend relationships in your life that have been lacking, that there's hurt in, God can use you. If you feel like your family is struggling and you can't stand up for yourself, God is going to use you. There's so many opportunities for God to work in and through you, and all he needs is for you to say yes. So even though we may have doubt sometimes, even though we may have questions, that doesn't push God away. That brings him in even more. So ultimately, what I want you to understand tonight is not only that doubt can lead to greater faith, but that doubt is not toxic to faith. Every Christian has, at some point, and should continue to have doubts and questions in their faith. Because if you're not pursuing God, if you're not growing, then that means you're not being challenged. Because those two things are interlinked, challenge and growth. So if you have been sitting comfortable, coming to church on Sundays, just in cruise control Christianity, that's not going to cut it. You're not going to get anywhere. And I'm saying that because I was one of those people for so long. For so much of my life, I was content coming to church, raising my hands during worship, and then during the week completely shutting out God and not doing anything to further my faith and have a relationship with him. And that makes me sad. So I really hope that if you have been doing that in your life, that you can feel God asking you to do more, to be something more than that, to have a relationship with him. And it's not that hard. It really isn't. Because when we have doubts and questions, that's when God shows up. He wants that opportunity for us to invite him in so that he can show his power and his strength in and through us. And that way we can inspire others' faith. And it's just a repetitive cycle. It's a thing that rubs off on other people, and it's just overall good for us and good for others if we bring God into the equation. But within all that, I don't want you to think that because you don't have all the answers, that that's an excuse to just not look for them. Well, I don't know how to approach this tough theological question, so I guess I'll just avoid it. Or if someone asks me, I'll just say I don't know. That's the wrong response. The correct response is, okay, I don't understand this, I don't know. I'm going to go find out. That's what God wants you to do. He wants you to be motivated by what you don't know. And nobody is ever going to know everything, so I'm not asking you to start reading through theological texts and trying to map out a defense for Christianity or a perfect response to everything, but educate yourself. Learn about the things that you have questions about. That's the only reason and the only way you're going to get to the truth is if you take that question and that doubt and you turn it into curiosity. That's a healthy transition. Now, I want to give you a few things, a few responses, and I'm going to give you some don'ts and some do's when it comes to doubts in your faith. Now, in the don't category, we have don't hide your doubts, don't ignore your doubts, don't be afraid of them, and don't be ashamed of them. All of those methods are ways that the enemy and Satan uses to create complacency in our faith. The second that someone has a doubt or a question and they decide, I'm just going to keep that to myself, that's too hard, I don't want people to think that I am a certain way, that's a win for him. That is an opportunity for you to seek relationship with God or take that to him, and he's cutting it off. And the enemy doesn't always attack us in huge ways, in the big things. It's in those small things in the day-to-day, within our faith, within ourselves that we don't even think about in further detail. That's where he gets us and prevents us from growing, prevents us from enjoying the fullness of a relationship with God. So whatever you do with your doubts, don't keep it to yourself. That is the worst thing that you can do. But when it comes to what you should do, is you should be open about it. You should share it honestly with people you trust. That could be your parents, an adult mentor, your small group, and also research. Go to the Bible. Find if there are answers to your questions. Find someone who's a pastor. That could be someone here at GCF, and have a conversation with them about whatever your questions are, whatever your doubts are. Because more likely than not, that's going to help you. And then finally, just talk to God about it. If you come before God in prayer and petition with a pure heart, he will answer you. He will grant your requests. That's why a relationship with him is so important, because he will answer you, whether that's through a person or whether that's through the Bible or whether that's through him talking to you audibly. That would be amazing. I would love to experience that. I haven't yet. But he will speak to you in some form, in some shape, if you are able to be receptive. All of that being said, all of that out of the way, doubt leads to greater faith. And tonight, if you have doubts or you have questions about your faith, you have uncertainties, just know that that is the right place to be. That is a good thing. And you are not less worthy of a Christian. You are not less knowledgeable of a person. God does not think less of you than he thinks of a pastor. You are loved and you are valuable just as much, even when you have doubts and questions. And those are opportunities for you to let God work through you and give you strength and to let him take control of your life. which ultimately is the goal. I also want to encourage you as we move forward. There's going to be small group time, obviously. And I just want to encourage you, your small group is here for you. They're here to encourage you. They're here to support you. So if you have a tough question, the first step towards getting an answer to that question or finding some direction is saying something about it, is creating that accountability, sharing it with someone. That's the first step. So if you have something tonight, I really want to encourage you, take it to your small group because they're there for you and it's a great place to start. And then beyond that, I want to encourage you to take those things to God because He's the only Father that you have that always loves you, always cares about you, and that will never fail. And now I just want to close in a word of prayer before we move on. God, I thank you so much for your patience with us, for the fact that you gave us free will, for the fact that you gave us the ability to doubt you and question you and come to you with our questions, and that you graciously respond, that you are not offended by our humanity, but that you see it as an opportunity. I thank you for each and every student, each and every person watching this tonight. I just pray that you would help them in whatever doubts or questions they may have, that you would give them courage and bravery to be honest about it, whether that's with you, whether that's with themselves, or whether that's with people around them that they trust. And I pray that you would help them to start navigating a life that is in relationship with you. And I pray for everyone that's been on cruise control like I was for such a long time, that you would help them to just see the fruit that you have awaiting them when they give up the cruise control and when they let you take the wheel. And I thank you so much for fellowship, for community. I pray that small group time would be amazing, that there would be great conversation, that people would truly connect, that people would truly open up about what they've been feeling, what they have been questioning, what they don't know, and what they want to know. And that you would be in each and every conversation and each and every one of us tonight as we leave this time. In your name, amen.
Nick, thank you so much for sharing tonight, giving that great message. I wish we were all in the same room so that you could hear us applaud you, and thank you for that. This series is a challenge to grow in our faith by changing the way that we look at doubt. Not as something to push us away from God, but something that actually invites us to grow closer to Him. Now, one of the great things about this series is it's not just something that you're going to hear me and Nick talk about. It's something that you get to talk about as well. And in a couple minutes, we're going to break out into our small groups and have some great small group time. And as we do that, as we're on our way there, I wanted to ask just a couple of questions we can all chat about here together on Youth Night as we continue to think about how doubt can lead to a bigger faith. Now, I loved how Nick shared some really practical ways that we can grow closer to God and actually do something when we have doubts. Because now here's the thing, guys. I have and do have questions about God and faith, things I read in the Bible that are puzzling to me and make me have these questions and doubts. But those can be paralyzing. They feel like they kind of like this roadblocks in our faith, but they don't have to be. I love the things that Nick shared that we can do to move our faith forward and even be stronger. So I want you to think about, maybe it came up in your mind already through Nick's message, maybe you can just think about it now. Put in the chat in just 1 to 2, 3 words, what is an action step that you can do when you have doubts? Maybe that's just going to God in prayer. Maybe that's talking to a specific person or your small group. Maybe that's opening up your Bible, going to a trusted friend, going to a parent. There's not just one right answer to this. There are lots of different things that we can do. So just comment and let's all share together, even through a chat thread, what are some practical steps we can take instead of just being paralyzed, or as Nick said, the worst thing you can do, just be silent or ignore it. All right, one of the big challenges that I'm going to give to you as you head into small group is this: be honest. Christians have questions. Even pastors have doubts. That doesn't make you any less of a follower in Jesus, because being a follower in Jesus is not about us, the things that we do, or even the things that we can think. It's about God's power showing up in our life, just like the stories we heard Nick share tonight. So, to prepare you to be honest in small group, which I hope that you share openly and freely everything that you think about tonight's message. Our last question together is this: on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you today, this week, this month, this point in your life with doubts? And there is absolutely no wrong or right answer or number. We're just sharing. So number 1 would be that you don't feel any doubts, have any questions whatsoever, and 10 would be like a lot. There are things that you really have questions and doubts about. And again, 1 is not better than 10. 10 is not better than 1. This is just us being honest together as a group about where we are with these things. So just between 1 and 10, honestly, where are you at? If it were me, I was thinking about this, I think that I would put myself at maybe a 3 or a 4. I don't know if that surprises you or not, but in my life, in the world right now, there are lots of questions that I have about, man, what is going on with the world, and where is God in a coronavirus world, and why are these things happening, and questions that I think about a lot. And God has really strengthened my faith, and I've definitely felt closer to God even this past crazy year about going to him in prayer about the world events. And it has grown my faith a lot, but I still have things that I'm still wrestling over that I don't fully understand. That's just a little bit of honesty from me to you guys. And I pray and challenge that you guys will be honest in small groups. Now, if you are not quite sure how to connect to a small group, or you haven't been connected yet to a small group, I invite you to be a part of one. It is an incredible place with people your same grade and gender, where you can get together and just share life, talk, and be honest. And if you want to get connected to a small group, just put that in the chat now. Well, we have had a great time here at Youth Night. I hope that you have enjoyed it. We heard a great message from Nick, and it is time to head to small groups. Hope you'll join us back here next week, Sunday at 7 p.m., as we continue in our No Way series. But for now, bye, buddies. See you next time.